obviously we're just under a week away from the January deadline. Brings up to speed on where we believe we're at with likes of Chermiti, Danilo, Ryan Nadiri, the German striker from Hansa Rostock.
Yeah.
What's the latest?
It was good that everything happened yesterday. We were travelling around Europe trying to get here. That was really good. No, look, we're led to believe the word coming out for the club is that Rangers have knocked back 2 big bids for two of their players, Youssef Chermiti and JD Gassama. The offer from Monaco for Gassama, we believe, was a loan deal, but with an obligation to buy for around £10 million, which would be an incredible profit on a player they signed for 2.2 million in the summer. Chermiti, again, this emerged kind of late last night here. The word coming out was that they'd also knocked back a bid a while earlier in the window for Chermiti from Fenerbahce, which we think was around £13 million, and again an incredible profit on a guy who they signed for £8 million and took absolute pelters for paying that fee. I mean, we were joking this morning, if he'd have said before the Old Firm game at Celtic Park Rangers were going to get a bid of £3 million for Chermiti, I think most fans would have probably bit your hand off and just took the loss, took the hit, because he's been poor in terms of his numbers, in terms of goal return. I think he's only got four this season, 4 in the league.
4 in the league, I think, 5 goals.
So, but he's obviously he's improved the last few weeks. The 2 Firm goals have bought him a bit of time. I think you saw even at the weekend there that when you take him out of the team, they do miss him, because as much as he isn't what you call a natural goal scorer, I think that's something that an aspect of his game he really has to improve upon. But his physicality, top end of the pitch, his ability to press, ability to retrieve the balls, win balls back, I think that is no longer the Danny Rowe era has gone on, has become more a key part of it. And I think Majowski, as you said earlier on, hasn't really set the header alight, has struggled in that front. He's not creating chances for himself or helping the team create chances for him by being a focal, being a presence at the top end of the pitch. Chermiti, I think that the improvement in Chermiti to me is that he's adapting gradually to Scottish football and knowing what's required. I agree with you, I don't think he's a natural goal scorer. I don't think he's ever going to be a guy that gets you 20-25 goals a season. But in certain games, or a lot of games in Scottish football, he can be very useful to you with that physicality, with that hold-up play, bringing others into it, pressurising defenders. And that's why he's basically become the first choice striker, even though the goals haven't really come from him. So the fact that they've knocked back, if it's true and they have knocked back this big bid, first of all it tells that Danny Rowe rates him. Even what fans might have thought at the start of the season, Rowe clearly rates him and sees him as a really useful member of the squad. It also shows Rangers financially, with the backing of the 49ers and Andrew Kavanagh, are under no pressure to sell one of their players. And you need to say Chermiti is an asset. Whatever you think of him as a player, they bought him for £8 million. He's a Portuguese under-21 international. Profile's good in terms of his age and his attributes. But it also shows you, while Rangers are going for this title, and now that they're back in the title race, they don't want to lose any of their best players or any of their first pick players.
Do you think perhaps had these bids materialised, especially for Chermiti, earlier in the window, when the club would have more time, and we're sitting here, I was told last night, it was certainly at the very least a few days ago this bid from Turkey came in. Do you think they'd maybe given themselves, if this had been a bid that had materialised just in the early days of the window, and they'd given them that time to go and find somebody? We know how difficult a window of January is. Do you think they might have thought about it, especially at that point where he wasn't firing and hadn't had that, that big performance at Parkhead? Do you think that before that they might have thought? I think you're right. I think most fans would have said, even if you take a slight loss on him, you bite your hand off it. To think that you could make a profit, a guy who's been certainly in the very early stages of his time in Glasgow was pilloried.
I think you're right. Look, obviously Kevin Thelwell, when he left the club, there's a bit of kind of structural change there, and Rangers
But we don't know behind the scenes just how kind of well equipped they are, in terms of this transfer window, in terms of recruitment and stuff like that. So I think what you're getting at there, would they have the time and the resources to go and get a replacement for Chermiti quickly? I think it would be difficult, and that's probably come into their thinking in terms of if they have knocked back this bid. And it's similar with Gassama.
He's a bit of an enigma, isn't he, Gassama? I was just going to come on to that. I mean, there's been times where you think, very early on, the very first 3-4 games under Ross Martin, it really looked like Rangers have got themselves a proper prospect here, but he's tailed off. I think he's obviously been asked to play on the right-hand side, being right-footed. The type of player he is, he's not a guy who's going to go to the byline and whip cross here. He wants to come and get shots away, and when he's on the wrong side, he's so much more less effective there. Whereas when you get on that left, as you saw at the weekend with his goal against Dundee, if you can get him driving in off the left and whipping those shots into the far post, he is definitely a threat. But so just a feeling, I think a lot of fans would agree that they've just not seen enough of that.
I feel a wee bit from Andy Newport saying he's tailed off. I think that might be a wee bit harsh to me. I think, has his performances of late been as good as they were initially? Probably not, but I feel for him in the sense that I think a few months ago Rangers were in such a bad place, before Danny Rowe took over, even at the start of kind of Danny Rowe's reign, that the Rangers fans, Gassama was the only guy they were looking at. I mean, they were just constantly expecting him to do something because of the start he'd made at the club. And that's tough when any player, especially as you say, when a lot of the times he has been playing out of position. He's had to play wing back a few times as well, remember, which certainly isn't his favoured position. I totally agree with you. His best work has always been in the left-hand side, cutting in on his right foot. That's pretty much where he's got all his goals from. And I genuinely think if once the Rangers squad gets more settled and it gets stronger, with new additions, I think if you've got Gassama constantly as one of your options on the left wing, whether that's with Mikey Moore as the other option or whether another new player comes in, I think you'll see the best of him and you can use him. The other thing is he's had to play him basically every game. There have been times when Danny Rowe would have wanted to take him out and he's not really had that option. I think in the recent cup tie against Annan, for instance, when they made loads of changes, he still started that game. So I think there's been a lot of pressure on him. I think he's still only 22. So I quite like him. I think he can offer Rangers something. He's shown that with some of the goals that he scored already. And again, going back to my point with Chermiti, if this bid has been rejected, which we're led to believe it has, then it shows you how much Rowe rates him. And once again, it shows you Rangers, they will not be forced into selling one of their key players at this juncture in the season when they've managed to get themselves back in the title race.